Hi, I'm Maya and I'm going to be talking to you about poetry over the coming vlogs. I'm going to start this week by talking about why poetry is so important to us. It gets thrown around a lot that classics are poetry. Real poetry can only be the classics. So you look at the Romans, you look at the Greeks. And it's fair enough to say that our traditions do come from there. That's where it all started, really, writing poetry down. Before that, it was just the way that stories were told. But it's not true to say that that's why we still love it. We love poetry because poetry speaks to us on a very basic level. You can read a poem and there's nothing in the way. With prose, it's great, but you've got thousands and thousands of words to get through what poetry can say in 14 lines. The best form of poetry out there today, in my personal opinion, is slam poetry. Now, slam poetry goes on up and down the country. You can find it in your local city, normally 2 or 3 times a month. And of course, there are much larger national and international competitions. But slam poetry is about saying what matters to you. It's about talking about the things that make you scared, the things that make you love, the things that make you happy. It's talking about the things that make you you, and that's why poetry, particularly slam poetry, appeals to people in our hearts, because we're listening to people talking about human experiences that we all share every single day. Now, it is fair to say that a lot of poetry, older poetry, classic poetry, the Romans, the Greeks, Shakespeare, etc., also touches us, but it's very difficult sometimes to cut through the words of the past, to get rid of all that arcane stuff and just listen to the meaning. And that's what slam poetry does. You get 3 minutes. 3 minutes isn't a lot. It really isn't. And those 3 minutes give you a chance to speak your deepest feelings, your deepest fears. Now, a lot of people say modern poetry doesn't have form. That's not true at all. It's just form evolved from, your classic sonnets or villanelles. We've moved forward from that to finding forms that fit the feeling. I watch a lot of slam poetry on the Button Poetry YouTube channel. They have all sorts of slam poetry from across America all the time. And there's some very beautiful stuff. Recently, quite a few things have gone viral. So, for example, If I Should Have Only Sons has gone viral because it's 2 black people talking about having children. It's talking about being able to look behind the guilty accusation and still love the person there and still find a way to teach them that it's not right. Obviously, rape culture today is a very important issue, and that's what slam poetry is great for. It's great at cutting to the heart of issues. There's another poem, Sarah, and it's written from the guy who found the suicide note of his best friend because she believed that he was the one who was strongest. And it's his pain at finding that. And every time I watch it, it moves me to tears, and it's that heartfelt pain that slam poetry can get across so well. Another example, If I Should Have a Daughter, is the opposite. It's beautiful. It talks about being the stars and the moon and the solar system to your daughter and giving her everything. And this is what slam poetry brings to us. It brings to us the joy and the suffering and the tragedy and the triumph of being human. And that's what poetry has always and will always be about. It's about human nature and the way that we feel things. Thanks for sticking with me, talking this week about slam poetry. If you look in the notes below, I will put a link to the Button Poetry website, and next time I will be talking to you about form. Bit more boring, but key to our understanding of poetry. All right, take care.